number one, looking back over the weekend, and the one thing I can tell you, we're really proud of our team, proud of how we prepared last week. They played their hearts off. They played within our cornerstones of being mentally and physically tough. I think we answered that, and I think our challenge is always to improve, and we've done that, and we've got to keep doing that. Thought we got to be a little more consistent, in some areas, and then we got to finish the game, and that's something that obviously you want to do. You've always want to score in the fourth quarter, and you want to keep them out of the end zone in the fourth quarter, and that's something that we got to do a better job with. Execution was better as a team overall from an offensive and defensive standpoint, and in the kicking game in a couple phases. And we knew it would be a battle going to Fresno. The good football team, well-coached football team, very talented, especially at the wide receiver. And we knew it would be a battle, and we'll learn from it. It's a team loss. Not one play ever determines, the outcome of a game. It really doesn't. There's usually 6 to 8, and we talk about it as a team all the time. There's 6 to 8 plays that determine the outcome, and that's what makes football the greatest team sport there is. And so we all have got to be playing our best and executing, and so that's all part of it. I think offensively, we had some poor field position, and that's really dedicated a little bit to your special teams, but we had some field position that wasn't great. Time of possession, we had been, pretty good, and again, it goes both ways, offensively and defensively, but and then the other part, the turnovers. You can't have turnovers, and that killed us. Foolish penalties, we had some of those. We had 3 false starts, and only 2 possessions in the fourth quarter, and again, 58 seconds and 50 seconds off the clock. That isn't exactly what we're looking to do. So from that part, those are the negatives. I think the positives, that we scored 28. I thought we started fast. At the start of the football game, I think the third downs, we were really good, 6 of 11, and then 2 of 3 in fourth down. So I think all those were positive. As far as rushing the football, we rushed for 158. We'd like to rush for more. I think that's something that we're always going to do. Try and run the football is a big part of who we are. Defensively, I thought we played very physical in the line of scrimmage. We needed, I thought, the front 7 or the front 6, whatever you want to call it. I thought they played hard, and I thought they played well. We need to play a little tighter on some coverage aspects. Needed to get our hands on some balls, and we gave up six big plays, and we can't do that. I think critical penalties, we had 2 offsides that hurt us a little bit, and it hurt us more probably just in the rhythm of playing. We had 13 missed tackles and 8 missed assignments, but the positives, we stopped the run. That's always a goal. We held them to -3 yards rushing, had 11 TFLs, 3 turnovers, 2 interceptions, and then a fourth down stop. Really came up big with the blocked field goal. The defense did, and then in the red zone, we held them more to field goals, and I thought that was great. And then the goal is to affect the quarterback. I think he's a very good quarterback, but I guarantee you he knew he played in the football game the next morning, because our guys got after him and hit him at least 12 times.
Any questions for Coach?
Coach, in the fourth quarter, you had a 4th and 1 from the Fresno 29. Was Jack Browning available to kick? I know he got a little dinged up on the fake punt. Did that impact the decision at all?
No, he really didn't, because I had told the offense that I felt good about him and we were going to, go for fourth downs. And, we had some success with it. And, the other part of that is always how good you feel about defensively, how you're playing.
And then on the onside kick recovery or defense,
Yeah.
just looking back on it, is there anything you saw that where you lined up as you wanted? Was it just a bad bounce on there, or a good bounce?
It was a good bounce on their part. And there were good bounces. They had a punt that they dropped, right? And we're, 3 feet, maybe a yard from maybe getting that. And the ball is shaped funny and different things happen, but we work on it all the time. I think the only thing I would have probably, thinking about it, was maybe called a timeout. But we practiced the same onside that they showed us.
How surprised were you that Jay Kanner played?
We never made a big deal about it, to be honest with you, because the other quarterback's pretty good too. I mean, he throws the ball well. Hainer, I think, is probably as good as anybody in the league, but in the Mountain West. But I don't know if it really bothered us, because I think we did a lot of good things on that side of the ball.
Will Browning's role be the same with all three specialties, or will he have something taken off his plate this week?
Yeah, well, I can't answer that right now, honestly. It only being Tuesday. He's getting better each day. He kicked some extra points yesterday, punted a little bit yesterday. So I can't tell you that for sure. I feel good, though, if Reeser's in there with kickoffs, even though, his first one went out of bounds. But, he's got a strong leg, and he's a lot like Jack in some ways when you look at mentally, how he approaches the game, which I think is positive.
How's Armstead coming along? Small sample size, but he's got a pretty good rushing average. To get him back, you think?
Yeah, well, he's feeling better. I can tell you that. He was not, I would say, 100%. I think he's more 100% now.
So you expect him to get some carries this week?
Well, I hope so. We'll see.
Keenan Kristen had probably his best game as an Aztec.
Yeah.
Not just rushing, but catching. How did you see his performance, and maybe he can be more involved moving forward?
Well, I think, there are certain things he does really, really well. I think catching the football, catching out of the backfield. I think Hoke did a nice job of using those talents and exposing them. I think there's a lot, especially if you start getting into, almost a 10 personnel with one of the backs being one of those guys. You got Bird who can do it. You got Keenan who has that ability.
Brady, when you see what your guys did defensively, the sacks and the tackles for losses and the takeaways, you come away heartbroken, unrewarded. You guys did so well defensively, and it wound up being an L.
Well, look, there was a lot of heartbreak for everybody. We look at football as being the ultimate team game, and I was proud of how our guys played. We need to do some things a little better, but I think this is the most complete game to some degree that we've had. And, there were guys, there were tears in that locker room, I can guarantee you. But we have to get off, that 24 hours is over with. We practiced yesterday. The guys did a great job in the weight room in the morning and then in practice. And yeah, it's heartbreaking, but we got to move forward. And who can predict what's going to happen in this league? Right now, there's a lot of people beating a lot of people. And obviously, we're excited about the next 3 or 4 being at home. We're excited and know that every game is going to be a battle.
And Coach, what are you looking for from Unlv?
Well, they've started out really good, and like, you know, a lot of people, you know, things you start playing in the league and things get a little tougher, but from a physical standpoint, I think they're a physical football team. I think when they've had some guys get knocked out, got hurt, have missed some time from an offensive standpoint, but I think quarterbacks, they've got a good set of quarterbacks because you've seen 3 of them play, and they all look good. I think offensive line is much improved, and physically, from the running back perspective, they've got some portal guys who've made a difference for them. So the expectations is they'll be well prepared, and they'll come in here and it'll be a battle.
And are there just some extra reps going into special teams this week in preparing for UNLV's?
Yeah, you know, we worked so hard on it. Doug works hard on it with his guys. The guys work hard at it. You know, we catch punts every day. We twice a week we do the onside kick. You know, and so we work at it. Be honest with you, the onside kick, that was a ball that was going to be tough to handle.
Barfield started out Boundary Warrior. Was that something specific to who you were playing against?
No,
Is it what Fresno does?
no, it was more he's earned that right.
Brady, the chunk plays you're giving up on the secondary, is that because the quarterback is extending the plays? Is it your guys losing containment or?
Well, I think it's a little bit of all. I mean, it's all those things. It's, you know, it depends if you're in zone, if you're a man, right? It depends if you extend the plays. You know, the quarterback gets to get outside the pocket, or he gets to step up inside the pocket. It's all those things, you know, and it drives you crazy because then you got 7 times the quarterback you've sacked and 14 times that he's been hit. So it's all of it, though. It's all got to mesh together, whether it's, and Kurt did a great job yesterday with the defense and talking about, you know, we do a big bad plays and good plays kind of deal, and talking about, you know, we got to have a better rush here so that doesn't get thrown.
You talk about Jalen's progress at each of these past 3 weeks and what you've seen from him as he keeps going.
Well, I think he learned a lesson about throwing the ball out of bounds. You know, he's got to get it out of bounds, obviously. But I think his progression's been good. You know, his leadership, you know, last week or 2 weeks ago, I had to use 2 timeouts, right? Well, we've gotten that handled. We didn't have to use any. And that's a big time deal. But I think he's, you know, he's progressing. I think the relationship with Ryan and him is very important. And I think, you know, how the discussions of what we want to do and what can he do, I think have been really positive, you know, and I think that's awesome.
How surprised were you that he could, after what, going on 8 months, 10 months, just come right back to quarterback and seem almost like he didn't?
Yeah. I don't know if I'm surprised, you know, but he obviously, you know, he's a football guy. And, you know, I think if you have those instincts and that part of your DNA, you know, it's never going to leave you.
Can you talk about Shawcroft and where he was a year ago this week versus the dominance that seems to be out there? Is everyone?
I tell you what he is. He's a really instinctive football player. And he's a Mike linebacker. And, you know, for us, because of some different things we do, but he is very instinctive. He has a great feel for the game, and he studies the game. And the preparation that he puts in, I think, is second to none, to be honest with you.
Of all the been really good linebackers here in this program for a long time.
Yeah.
Has he made the biggest jump you've seen since you've been head coach?
Well, you know, from 2019, right, when I first got back here as the D-line coach, I didn't know who Mike Shawcroft was. And over these years, I mean, he's improved in, I think, a lot of areas, and I think how he, studies the game, but how he reacts in the game. Jake Feely was that way. Jake, to me, was one of the best linebackers to play here because of his instinct. I see a lot of that in Mike.
He even came here when he was still a senior in high school. He'd come out to spring to just watch, and I
Yeah.
tried to study up even then when he.
Well, and he's banged up a little bit, so we always give him a day off. I sometimes give him 2 days off, but he's writing back the defense, and he's in a stance, and he's 40 yards away, and he's doing what the call is and reacting to what he sees. So I mean, I give Mike a lot of credit. I give Kurt a lot of credit because of how Kurt teaches.
You had a personal foul that took you guys out of field goal range.
Yep.
What's your inclination on that? Is it to pull the guy out immediately or let the series finish and then talk through it with him?
I think it varies a little bit. And when I say that, I mean, my first is to get the guy off the field because that, when you start getting into those things to me, you can only say a young, inexperienced player so long. And I think last week I told you that, if you've started 6 games, you're not young anymore. And so, there's always consequences, and we can't afford that. It hurts the team. And until guys realize that, you're not going to get much of a change.
Because I think he stayed in and then had a false start after that.
Yes.
And then he had 4 penalties in the game. Is that just talking through after during the week? I mean, how do you attack that?
You have a lot of conversations and different consequences.
So after those penalties, I think you had the ball at the 48. You decided to kneel the ball instead of maybe try a Hail Mary. What was the thought process there?
Yeah. It was time to get off the field and get into the locker room.
Brady, what do you tell Braxton Burmeister about what's happened to him this year and what's happened to his career? Because this must be pretty hard for him.
You know what? He's had a great attitude, and I'm sure it's hard. I mean, I think it's hard for anybody, right? So the one thing is, I always check in with him, see how he's doing, how he's feeling, and there's going to be a time, and we'll all remember it, where he's going to come back and help us win the championship.
Anything else for Coach?
I have one other question. The play calling to Jeff, a lot of creative juice last week. Where did this come from? Throwing the ball, moving the pocket?
Yeah, well, it's kind of some of it's what we've had in. Some of it's stuff that Jeff's put in.
And just a general question, at this point in the season, how is the difference between playing last year at the Q, Vice, Snapdragon here, it's a more intimate setting, how have the players responded in this more intimate environment?
Yeah, well, they like playing here more than we did up there, obviously. I mean, it was what we had to do and what we needed to do. And but it's so much different, and it's great to play at home.